So you're done rolling on your beginner banner and you got YANQING and you're wondering what he does and how to build him. He's an ice element DPS and he's a great single target damage dealer, which makes him a core part of the team when you're going against elite monsters and boss fights. First, let's take a look at how you could utilize his ability to do the most amount of damage. So Technique is an ability that you're supposed to use before you start a battle. It allows him to do 30% more damage to the enemy for 2 turns with 50% or more HP. And next we have his talent. While your talent is activated, YANQING has increased crit rate and increased crit damage. Plus, when you're attacking while his talent is activated, you have a chance of proccing a follow-up attack. But be careful here. Once you're attacked by the enemy, your talent will be disabled. So how do you activate his talent? Well, it's pretty simple. Just by using his skill, you'll be able to activate his talent for 1 round. As long as you don't get attacked by the enemy, or if your shield doesn't break, your talent will remain activated. So this is probably the best time to use your ult along with the talent to burst down the enemy. And if you take a look at the ult description, you could see that the talent works really well with his ult, because when your talent is not activated, you only receive an additional of 60% crit rate. But if you have the talent activated while using the ult, you will get an additional 40% crit damage. So make sure when you're using your ult, you have to check whether the talent is activated. How do you know it? You can check at the character icon whether this part is glowing or if the sword is glittering. That indicates that your passive is still active. As for the traces in terms of which you should upgrade first, I really don't have an answer for this because as a DPS, all of it is really important, but I would definitely prioritize on either his talents first or his ultimate. Besides the basic attack, you can leave that to the very last. So do as you wish. As for his bonus ability, I would recommend you to choose wisely before you upgrade all of them because the material is quite hard to obtain. The bonus ability that I would recommend to upgrade first would probably be the Frozen Boon, because if you're using YANQING, you're probably going against an enemy that has a ice weakness, so getting the extra 30% damage is actually quite worth it. As for the rest of the bonus ability, I would recommend you to upgrade them later in the game when you have more than enough materials to spend. As for the Lightcone, anything that has the Path of Hunt would work besides the one from the monthly pass, which you could pretty much pull it off as well, but having the fixed chance to dispel 1 buff on the target enemy is kind of situational. I would rather choose the other Lightcone that has additional increase like crit damage or attack damage for your character rather than dispelling a buff on the enemy, so it's very situational. For the relics, you could either go with a full set of Hunter or you could go with 2 sets of Hunter and 2 sets of Musketeer if you don't have the full set of Hunter. And as for the final 2 pieces of relics that could only be obtained in the simulated universe, you could either go with a Celestial or the Inner Salsato, or you could go with the Sprightly set, although I do not recommend it, but if you can make it work, go for it, because YANQING has a high amount of energy in order to activate his ult, so that energy regeneration may come to help in certain situations. As for the stats of the relics, I would not recommend you to stack crit rate for YANQING because YANQING has abilities increasing his crit rate, he has his ultimate increasing 60% of his crit rate, and you're probably gonna have a Lightcone that will increase the crit rate as well, so you do not want the crit rate from overflowing. Therefore, I would recommend you to stack the crit damage rather than crit chance or attack damage. As for the Eidolon, if you're a whale, I would recommend either E2 or E4. E2 is really important because YANQING has a ridiculously high amount of energy in order to activate his ult, so an increased energy restoration will help him to use his ult more often in battles. As for E4, if you have higher than 80% of the HP, you increase your ice damage penetration. Simple and brutal. As for YANQING's teammate, I think we should be focusing on tank characters because when tank shield YANQING, even if he gets hit, as long as the damage doesn't exceed the amount of shield he's getting, his talent will not disappear. So you could go with characters like Japart, March 7, or even the Fire MC, because Fire MC can taunt the enemy by making the enemy attack him instead of YANQING, allowing YANQING's talent to stay active.